Hey guys, welcome to Coffee with Con, where I, Con, am joined by my two friends today, which I'm not drinking coffee. Is anyone else actually drinking coffee on this episode of Coffee with Con?
Just some water.
Do you have water too? All right, so we're not drinking coffee. This is just with Con. So I have my best friend Nadine here. You guys all know her.
Hi.
If you're watching this and you don't know who it is, I really don't need introduction. You should go watch something else. And then I'm also with Tyler. Tyler's a fourth year student at Sales University, and we met at AOA. We honestly became friends instantly, and we've been like really close friends ever since. So that's really amazing. So hi, Tyler.
Guys, what's going on?
All right, so Tyler, we met Tyler at AOA, which he won the Student Bowl championship at that time. Tyler, how did it feel?
You know, it was like instantly I got overcame by all the emotion. I felt phenomenal. No, to be honest, I didn't feel any different. It was really an awesome experience. So, you know,
That's great. So if you guys don't know what the Student Bowl is, there's basically one representative for every optometry schools in the nation, and we all just kind of come together and we do a quiz show where you kind of buzz in the answer, and it covers ocular disease, path, optics, and honestly everything optometry related. And so being the champion means you beat every single other schools and that you have great knowledge. So Tyler's going to be here. He killed boards and he's going to be talking about how he crushed it, and we're all going to share our experiences today.
it was really a cool experience at the AOA Quiz Bowl. And the AOA in general was really cool being in Denver, just cruising around the city. Meeting you guys is awesome.
Yeah, no,
It was a lot of fun.
I really missed it when I came home.
I know. Not ready to go back.
Having to start back clinic at 7 a.m. in the morning when I could just be in Denver relaxing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was so
I had a
fun.
late flight too, so I landed at like 1 in the morning, and then I had to go to clinic too at 8 in the morning. It's
Oh my
just a
gosh,
lot.
yeah.
That's
Because,
right. And the time differences, yeah. Crazy.
My God.
dude, you were a champ for doing that. Honestly, Nadine and I got back in the morning of Sunday, and
We
we still went
crashed.
to sleep, and we still crashed until the next day. Like, I think clinic that Monday was probably the worst feeling ever.
Yeah.
I felt like I was dying because I was
That
so.
whole week sucked, to be honest. But Monday was the worst.
What was your guys' favorite part of the AOA conference?
I feel like the after party was really fun.
Yeah, I think so too.
That was
It
a lot
was,
of fun. What about all the free stuff? The AOA gave out so much free stuff. It was really cool. I took all of it back. It all fit in my suitcase.
Oh my gosh, that's
nice. He had stopped me at the airport. I think it was those dry eye pills. But they didn't see the pills. They just looked around and they're like, okay, you're good to go. And I was like, okay, I don't know.
A tip
But
for anyone going to AOA, make sure you bring dress clothes. I only brought one button-down shirt, so I walked around in t-shirts most of the time while everyone else was dressed up.
oh my gosh, no, the airport was so funny because we got stopped by TSA, I think that's what it's called.
yeah,
And then he was just going through all the stuff because Nadine was able to bring all the free stuff she got. But because I packed so much, I wasn't able to bring like a lot of things back. But he stopped us and he was going through like the brooder mask, and he was like examining the brooder mask and making sure we didn't have any like illegal substances. And we were just like, sir, that's just for my dry eye. They were like so serious about it. Oh my gosh. But I'll tell you what, I think
yep.
AOA was like a great experience getting to network and meet everyone. So that was just really fun. So we're going to start with how we studied for boards. I feel like all of us had a different approach to studying for boards. And so I thought it'd be a good idea for all of us to share. I felt like my way was very relaxed and felt like I was able to retain a lot of information, and I wasn't working myself like overtime, because personally I don't think I can study longer than 1 to 2 hours without needing a very long break and relaxing after that. And so what were y'all's ways?
So I, so a lot of my friends started studying for boards early, and they like the summer before, uh, boards came around in like the spring. So I personally didn't start studying though until like maybe January 1st, like after New Year's, I started studying. But then I started studying like probably 10 or 12 hours a day. I would study from like as soon as I wake up until I go to bed, all day just studying, which is hectic. But 3 months of studying hard versus a shorter time studying, or shorter duration but longer time studying.
Man, good for you for putting it in through like that many hours. I think I started near the end of the summer or mid to end of summer, but I would I would wake up late, eat breakfast, but I would start around like noon or 1 p.m. And then I'd try to push through for like a few hours. And then I would be like, okay, I'm going to eat like a snack. So I'd take a break. And then I'd push through more. And then I'd be like, okay, it's time for dinner. And then I would like somewhat study again at nighttime. And then I either pulled through until like 1 a.m. or like I stopped and played games. But basically, I was more of a night owl. So I would study more in the afternoon, or late afternoon. And then I would wake up late.
And I'm such a morning person.
Yeah.
And you guys also have to take into consideration of how much time your school is giving you. So, Tyler, how much time did your school give you off? Because I don't know, for our schedule, there's no way I could have done day to night studying every single day because we had clinic and exams. We had an exam before, like just a week before boards, and then we had clinic up until the weekend before boards. And so definitely I feel like we weren't able to cram as much. Were you guys able to have like a little bit more leeway time?
So I mean, it's kind of a blur because I was studying so much that I kind of forgot everything that happened. But we had a few classes. They weren't too intense classes. We had a few exams, like I think 2 or 3 exams before the actual boards, and we had a course that was dedicated to teaching you things that were going to be on boards. It was our boards prep course. So every week we'd have 3 or 4 lectures about things like, refreshing courses to help you think about like pharmacology or systemic disease or whatever it was on geometric optics, things like that. So it was cool. They taught us, and then at the end of the boards prep course, they gave us like they called it a mock test, a mock boards test. So everyone has to go to school. You sign up for a day. You go to school. You sit there on your computer and exam soft, and you're there for 8 hours, just like the real boards exam. And you take this fake boards exam, it's 400 questions, and it's supposed to predict how you do on the real exam. So
was that mandatory for you guys to do?
for our course, yeah, for us, and you had to get a certain score to get the pass of the pass fail course. And if you failed the threshold, you had to go back and do like 10 worksheets to be able to pass the course.
Oh gosh, that seems.
But the worksheets were too, just, the worksheets are kind of a thing to make sure you were studying.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, there were multiple choice, but you'd have to explain yourself on the worksheet if you failed. So you show that you've made a progress in learning. But yeah, and I think they gave us like, I think one week before boards, we had like nothing going on. We had clinic twice a week, the normal shifts. It wasn't anything crazy. And even in clinic, like, if I was in clinic, I'd be doing like opto prep questions with my buddy or something like that.
Gotcha. Wait, that's so cool. I just feel like that was such a good way to make sure everyone's like studying for boards and being on the same track. So I think that's so good.
I don't know when your guys' mock test was, but our mock test was like probably a month before real boards. So my goal was to get all my boards studying. Like, I need to be through the entire information by that point, so that I can see an actual representation of my knowledge. So a lot of people that were taking the mock test were like, "Oh, I didn't get to go through pharmacology yet. That's why I didn't do too good on the exam." So my goal, though, for me personally, was to get through all the material, so I didn't have an excuse. So I can see how I thought I'd really stack up on board, so I could use that last month to really prepare myself for the real thing.
That's smart.
How many times did you go through the book? How many times did you guys both go through the book?
I honestly, my friend, one of my friends told me, who was upperclassman, he said it's more breadth than depth. He's like, it's a mile wide but an inch deep. And to be honest, that's how it was. A lot of things were straightforward. So he told me to read the book a few times. So KMK recommends going through the material about 3 times. I probably read the book 4 times. Oh, and nice. I mean, I probably didn't read it like word for word, obviously, gotcha. But like I went through it and I skimmed through it and reminded myself of things.
Yeah, I think I went through the big one. So there's like the big important 8, and then there's like the non-big 8. For those of y'all who don't know about KMK, and I went through the big important 8, I would say like 3 times, but it was always like that last few, like 2 chapters that I just kind of like wouldn't read until the very end. Because I would be like, oh,
for your short-term memory, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I'm gonna wait. Like, I can do that part like at the very end. And then I didn't go through the non-big 8 except maybe once. But that stuff was also short term.
Mhm.
not just like memorization. So I think I went through it about 3 times.
Okay. So
How about you?
I think it's crazy because oh sorry, Ty, what were you saying?
How many times did you go through the book?
Um, I want to say I went through one chapter, or maybe more than one chapter. I lied. There's no way I went through one chapter, but maybe I went through. I want to say I skimmed through disease about maybe a few chapters, and then I didn't touch the book again. So I didn't. But I was gonna say, how crazy is it that I know KMK divided it into big A and non-big A, but I feel like the optometry portion of the non-big eight should be a part of the big eight. You shouldn't focus on that as a secondary. I feel like everyone should be focusing on everything as a whole if it's related to optometry. Do you guys kind of agree with me as well?
Yes.
I agree definitely because I too, like Nadine, like I only went through the non-big eight 1 or 2 times maybe. I didn't, I was like, oh, it's a non-big eight. It's only 20% of the exam, estimated 20%. So like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to really spend my time on it. I felt like it was very useful to use your time on the non-big eight
Yeah.
as well.
And
I
focus
agree.
on it. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I guess we'll jump into like how we studied for it. I'll start with mine. I feel like mine is very simple and very easy and very non-stressful. So I started maybe like end of May. So whenever our summer semester started, and I watched one video at a time. And when I say one video, I mean one actual video and not even a unit. So I'll just go through one video, which is about 8, sometimes 20 minutes, but I want to say 8 to 15 minutes is the usual time of the video. And I would just watch the video, take some notes. And I think the key factor in passing boards, if you're not going to go hardcore, is making Anki cards. So Anki uses like spaced repetition, and they have like the flashcards that come back every now and then. If you're not good at the cards, it'll keep coming back up, and if you kind of master the card, it won't come back for another like 60 or 30 days, however you set it. So that's what I did. I started out just watching a video, taking notes, and doing the flashcards. That's about 15 20 flashcards max, and then I would just do the flashcards. When you start out, it's easy and simple, and then as you go along, I would just do the new cards, and then I would also do the review cards. So the review cards kind of come back and shuffle through as you're learning. So you're not losing old material as you're learning new material. And I feel like that helped me a lot. And I say I watch one video a day, but I feel like most days I kind of forget as well. I'm not very good at this, but I didn't finish going through the whole material until November, because that was when I took my first practice exam. I went through the whole material once and I took the practice exam to see where I stood. And the first one's pretty simple and easy, so I passed that. And then afterwards, when we start school in the fall and when we're having exams, when we're in clinic, I spent that time just going through my review cards, because if I'm not learning something new that day, or when I'm tired coming home from clinic, or when I'm studying for an exam and I don't want to open a new video and read the book, I was able to go through the flashcards and just not, at least if I'm not learning something new, I'm not losing old knowledge, I guess, if that makes sense. And selfless promo, but I did make a video on how to use Anki, so you can definitely watch it. And then learn how I make my card so that you can use the spaced repetition way and like set your schedule to how I did it. So I took my first practice exam in November, and then I took the next ones, every month, or maybe a few weeks out after that. And then I didn't use OptoPrep as much as I wanted to, because I focus a lot on KMK, and I feel like I didn't want to overwhelm myself with all the KMK practice questions and then having to do OptoPrep on top of that, because a lot of the OptoPrep questions were very specific for me, and so I felt like I wanted to go over KMK first before I deep any deeper. But unfortunately, I never got through all the KMK stuff, so I never got to OptoPrep. But yeah, I honestly think Anki was a big thing for me, especially when I'm just busy or I'm tired and I don't want to, pull out a bunch of things. I can just get my phone out or open my laptop and go over the flashcards of the materials I went through already.
Yeah, I remember you came over once and we were just making some dinner. And as the food was being like baked in the oven or preheated or something, you would just be looking at your phone flashcards and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. See, if you were just hanging out with your friends and you were doing something that had some downtime instead of just sitting there scrolling through Instagram, which I kind of did, but instead of only doing that, you can just pull your phone out and like do the flashcards as you're doing anything. When I was waiting in line to buy groceries, when I was just, I don't know, waiting at a drive-through, I just like take my phone out and do the flashcards really quick. The thing with Anki is if you have an iPhone, it costs about $25. But if you have an Android, it's free.
Did you guys ever like quiz each other with the flashcards, or did you use it yourself on your phone?
I want to say I use myself, but if I'm with Nadine, I'll just say the card out loud. And
Yeah.
then answer it.
I think there were a couple of times you would
Yeah,
be like, "Hey Nadine, what's da 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 da," and I'd be like, "Oh crap!" I remember one of 5 of them.
But how did you guys study for it? I mean, like, did you guys use KMK? Did you guys use OptoPrep?
Okay, so I used KMK instead of OptoPrep because I heard that KMK was kind of probably the better way to go for part 1. They give us like a whole set of videos to watch, and so my method was I was going to go through each of like the videos, and I was going to follow it, and then everything that they mentioned in the video that was not in the book, I would go in the book and I would like literally write notes down for it. That way I had everything in one place. So I did that with all the videos before I even touched the book, like started reading it. So when I finally finished the last video, I finished the very last set of notes on my book, and then I just started with the book, and I was like, I'm going to read the book, study it, and study the stuff I wrote on the side. That way it was all in one place. And then I took the total number of pages in the book. So I think it was a total of like 1,200, Big 8 plus non-Big 8. And I was like, okay, I want to finish this in 1 month. So I divided it by like 30. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to read 40 pages a day and have it memorized. So there were days, obviously, like I just couldn't do all 40, but there were also days where I could, because like either the chapters were a little shorter, because maybe like the last few pages were like the just like names of people, or just like empty pages. But it worked out well for me because I like set myself a
Nadine,
specific
you didn't
goal.
read the reference page? What about all the
Ah,
people that worked so hard on making this book?
yes, I know. I probably would have scored higher if I did.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, so all of that I was able to skip, but I set myself like a specific goal. Like I was like, I gotta get through 40 pages, and if I do that, then I'm caught up. That way I kind of had like a path, or else I would have probably been like not sure what I was gonna do each day. So after I finished the videos, I focused more on the book, went through it. It didn't completely finish within a month, like it took over a month sometimes, but that's how I was able to go through it like 3 times. But that's also why through the end, I didn't necessarily like get through it, because I was like, I should start again because I'm already done with like the whole month that I put myself for. So I'm going to start the book again to make myself feel better. But I think going back at it, I would have like really touched harder on the end of the book as well. So yeah,
Well, when did
that's
you
kind of
start
what I
studying?
did. Say that again.
When did you start studying?
Um, So I started the videos, I think, during like the end of the summer, and then I think I started going through the book, I want to say like right before school started. I think I tried to start it before the fall semester, if I remember correctly. And I think I took my first practice test around December, beginning of our break. And then I took like the second one a few weeks after. So I also spaced my practice exams weeks in between, when I felt like I was more ready to take it, rather than like doing it when I didn't feel prepared. So that was kind of how I went about it.
What about you, Tyler?
So, so while you guys were taking practice tests and studying and going through all the material,
I was on a vacation.
yeah, I was doing certification. I wasn't doing anything because I didn't know. I was kind of naive to the fact that I should start studying early. I was like, oh, I'll
Tyler's
get.
like, I don't need to study early. I got this. What are these people doing?
I took advice from upperclassmen. They're like, oh, you could start in January. I'm like, oh, January sounds great. I'm like, I could just enjoy my like last few months of school, focus on those tests. So then January comes around, I found out most of my friends have been studying already. And I was like, oh man, I'm a little behind. So I paid for the KMK like where you get like
The
the schedule to come
signature? Yeah, the
so it comes.
signature. Oh, I should have mentioned that. I think I use the signature and Nadine also used the signature.
And the signature comes with a schedule that tells you what they do every day. And I would see it. I see like, oh, like in May it says to do this. I'm like, I'm not starting until January, so I didn't even look at the schedule, unfortunately. And then January came around, January 1st. It's New Year's Eve, so I couldn't start then, or New Year's Day. I couldn't start then. I'm like, I'll start after New Year's. So then I was kind of stressed out because everyone's already been studying. So I watched the videos, and I after I'd watch a unit, I would try to read the material. And so we didn't have many courses going on. We had a few courses that we had to pay attention to, and we had 2 days in clinic per week. So all my free time, I like to say that I studied like 10 hours per day, 12 hours per day, but everyone gets distracted and no one has that long of an attention span, but I would do the best I could. So I'd watch the unit, I'd read the book right after I watched the unit, and I go through the entire book as much as I could, and I would do more than the schedule said. So I would do like, my goal for one day would be like to complete all of ocular disease. So it'd be like something like that. So it'd be like, it's like 4 or 6 hours with the videos and all the pages. So I would try to get through all of it one time. My goal was to be done by the time we took our mock boards exam. That was going to be, once I took the mock boards exam, I wanted to be through all the material, non-Big 8 and Big 8 one time. So when that had to be probably a month before boards. So if boards was, May 20th, so it had to be done by like February 20th or, early February, mid-February. So I was able to get through all the material by the time, like, 1 or 2 days before like our exam, our mock boards exam at school in the boards prep course. And I felt good and I felt comfortable with the material and I felt like I was, getting a hang of it. And even after the mock boards exam, I felt comfortable with everything that was going on, but I still didn't, like you're never going to feel like you're confident or you know a lot about it, even if you do. So it's one of those things where you got to kind of trust yourself and, the time and effort you're putting into it. And all the thing about it, you put 3.5 years or 3 years into studying already. So all this stuff is almost like a review. So a lot of this stuff you're hearing again, you've heard before. KMK does a really good job of giving you acronyms and mnemonics and things to like just help you think, and recall the information. I think the hardest thing was probably trying to, I don't know if you should do this, I'm not telling you what to do, but memorizing a lot of the formulas for optics. Mm-hmm. That was probably one of the things that took the most, and the standards. And I remembered all the ANSI standards and like things that KMK recommended. And I think that was the hardest thing because I don't really like memorizing things. I like understanding things. So one of the things that makes it easier is if I can like make a story out of it, which they do a great job in explaining. They do a great job teaching at KMK. Mm-hmm. I also use OptoPrep, but I use OptoPrep after I use KMK. So OptoPrep gives you a lot of questions. So I would go through the questions and I would star the questions that I wanted to go back and read about, but I never really went back and read it. So I would really just use it just for the questions and like, to see how I felt with them. Yeah, so there's a lot of extra practice tests you can get with the OptoPrep as well. Me personally, I didn't really think, I was nervous that I was going to have to retake boards, so I didn't want to have to retake it. I figured if I have all the material at my exposure now, then I don't need to say, oh, what if I had this? I would have passed if I had that. That's one of those things where I didn't want to pay for boards again. I didn't want to have to take it again. So I just got everything possible that I could buy. OptoPrep, KMK, the biggest, most expensive one, just because I don't want to have to retake it and spend another $1,000 on boards.
My question is, how did you study for 10 to 12 hours a day? Like, what did you drink? What did you eat? How did you keep the stamina up?
So I'd wake up every morning really like tired, like definitely tired. And I'd crawl out of bed, I'd get some breakfast. I'd open an energy drink, a Bang Energy, 300 milligrams of caffeine, shotgun it, chug the whole thing. Then I go look at my computer, and I'd watch the videos, read, go drink a coffee, come back, study more. I don't know. Like,
really loaded yourself up.
Yeah, I'd watch the video while I was eating. I didn't give myself any time for anything. But I get distracted. My friends would text me, call me, and
Yo, what'd you do with your phone? Did you just keep it with you, or did you like put it aside? I don't know. How easily do you get distracted?
It was definitely with me, and it was definitely a distraction. It always is, I'm sure, for everybody. Mm-hmm. But I also I knew I had to buckle down because I was already behind from, if everyone started in May around that time. I didn't start till January. That's like 7 months behind. I was really nervous.
I feel like that would make me so nervous just starting late.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I was able to just push it away. I told my girlfriend, I said, I can't talk to you for the next 3 months. No dinner dates, no nothing. Just I got to do this. And,
see, guys, if you did my method, I was still going on dinner dates and I was making TikToks and I was still having my best life.
I had my best life for 7 months before that.
Yeah, I would put my phone on silent sometimes and push it aside. and I didn't want any distractions. So if you guys get distracted easily, put your phone far, far away.
Turn it upside
On
down.
silent. Yeah. Oh, yep.
Don't get it because if when notifications flash up, you have a tendency just to look at it.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on.
See, I needed these advice. I got really distracted all the time. That's why I set aside like a certain amount of time to study, and then I was kind of like done for the rest of the day. And speaking of caffeine, did you know Nadine went through the entire optometry school and boards prep without a single ounce of caffeine? She does not drink any coffee, so that blows my mind.
Wow. But that explains why she doesn't, wake up early.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have to wake up early now. But yeah, I was more of a night person somehow. I stuck through the night and then I slept in.
I will admit my best studying happened after 4 p.m. Up until like from like 8 a.m. like or 9 a.m. whenever I get up to like 4 p.m. probably. I was like looking at my emails. Everyone, you wake up, you go through your emails first, then you look at your school stuff. You say, "Oh, what do I got to do for this?" Then you look at like your class stuff. It's a lot of back and forth.
Mm-hmm. I was just too sleepy to study and focus.
And that's fine. I mean, I feel like you do whatever works with your schedule, because for me personally, I work really well in the morning. So I would wake up at 8 and I would just go hard for a few hours. I mean, this is the weekends. So I think the weekends I actually study a little bit more. So probably like 8, I'll probably go into 10 or 11, and then I'll eat, and then I'll do nothing until like maybe like 5, and I'll do a little bit more for a few hours, and then call it a night. And then I'll sleep early so I can restart.
That's a good idea. I forgot to mention though, whenever I did catch up to the KMK schedule, I did follow that. When they recommended taking the practice quizzes, when they recommended doing the non-Big 8 stuff, I by that time I caught up and I was able to follow along with them.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's talk about our test day experience. How was that? How was the night before test day, and how was test day, and how was the day after test day?
Well, I'm sweating already thinking about it. Yeah, for me, I'm the type of person who cannot necessarily relax the day before the test day. I was just kind of like doing a brief review. So I had been studying up until probably 7 p.m. the day before. And they always told us, hey, you guys, make sure stop studying at like 5 in the afternoon. Give yourself multiple time, like a lot of time to take a break and just relax. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then it's like 7 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm just gonna like review like the formulas and just like these basic, just a summary of some things, because I would feel like, I don't know, I just needed it in my head more. And then I was like trying to go to sleep early, but I wasn't able to sleep because of my anxiety until like 2 in the morning. And then I'm not sure how I slept. I think I slept like a couple of hours, and I was just waking up, sleeping, waking up. And then it was like 5 or 6 in the morning, and I was like, all right, I had to get up, I gotta get ready, I got to mentally prepare. I actually ate something that morning. I usually never eat breakfast. It's something that I like recently picked up on, but I was like, I need to give myself a snack. And I think that really helped because it kind of gave me like a little more energy. I drank water. I used the bathroom, and honestly, no coffee for me. My heart would have been up the roof. But give yourself time to eat and drink and use the bathroom. That's something I think that's really important, because you want to make sure that you're comfortable when you take the test. And then drive. Give yourself ample time to drive there, get there so you're relaxed. I would recommend going super early so you could be like one of the first ones to check in, so you can start the exam early and not have to like worry on other people, because they take some time. They'll like make sure you don't have anything with you when you go in there. They'll like pat you down kind of thing. So I went pretty early. I know Khan's experience was not fun with that. But yeah, and then like the day,
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but that security pat down was probably more intense than the TSA people. Guys, okay, is this legal? I'm just gonna put it on a podcast. I'm sure not a lot of people are listening, so I'll just say it. That's the reason why it took so long, because I was patted down. Like, I was patted down. Okay, like I came in, she like asked me to roll up my sleeves. Totally understandable. That makes sense. Move up my hair, legs, ankles. But the weird part was when she said, "Lift up your shirt from the front," and I was like, okay, maybe she doesn't want to see anything. There's a wire. I don't know. Pull down your pants a little bit from the front. It's like, oh, okay. And then see, she had an accent as well, so I was a little confused. I was like, am I hearing this right? And so I'm like lifting up my shirt a little bit, pulling down my pants a little bit. And then she said, turn around. And I had to lift up my shirt and pull my pants down again. And then I had a bobby pin in my hair. And then I think the bobby pin was making me uncomfortable halfway through the first part of boards. And so I took my bobby pin out because I don't know. I was just, all my feelings were heightened during the exams. Okay. Took my bobby pin out. And then she came by. She goes, what are you doing? Put your bobby pin back on your hair. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Nadine.
No, that's okay.
Put that in there. That is why the check-in time took so long.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Well, there's 3 cameras on your desk watching the whole time.
Yeah.
Wait, Tyler, did you get patted down this much, or am I just dramatic?
I didn't get. I mean, they checked my wrists, they checked my ankles.
Right,
They
that
made
makes
me
sense.
put out on my hoodie,
That
and they
makes
made me
sense.
put inside my pockets.
Right.
That's pretty much. That's pretty simple.
You didn't have to pull your own pants down?
Not in Philadelphia.
All right, Pearson at Bel Air Street. Something's wrong with y'all.
Man, yeah, everyone is different. I would recommend taking the simplest amount of items with you. Like, I don't even know. Did they even let us take a watch in?
No, you can't take it.
Yeah, so I wouldn't even wear a watch, jewelry, nothing. They gave us like a locker, but maybe just for your lunch, I would say. But I would take the least amount, wear something comfortable. You get like these kind of headphones to wear. Maybe that's why you took off your bobby pin. I don't know. And they can be a little tight. Yeah,
they can be pressing on my bobby pin.
Yeah, so they can be a little uncomfortable. You didn't have it?
I didn't wear them.
Oh, I didn't wear them either. Wait, no, I take it back. I didn't wear them. So
just kidding. I wore it, but it was like very tight on my ear, so I kind of took it off kind of in the middle of it. But yeah, each place is different. So when I went in to take the exam, I was just like, after all the check-in and everything, I was just like, all right, let's just get started. Took a deep breath, and then I just went. And when you start it, I feel like my anxiety started going down a little bit just because like you're just going through with the flow. And then I'm the type of person who takes the exam the complete time. Even if I have leftover time, I'm going to keep checking or going through it until the time runs out. But the good thing is, for me, I didn't have enough time to necessarily go back and check everything. And I'm saying this is a good thing because I didn't go back and change my answers, which is a really good thing because sometimes I do that and it really messes me up. So I like checked it, but didn't check all of it. And so anyway, lunch came around. I ate something very light. Again, used the bathroom before I started back the second part. And then I went and I just took it, waited till the whole time was over. And then I left and I felt so relieved. And I honestly did not feel good about how I did.
We went to get food after, so
we did because we were. It's more at that point where you're just happy you're done. Like in your head, you're like, To me, I was kind of like, okay, I'm probably gonna have to retake it, but I'm just gonna relax because regardless if I pass or fail, I'm not gonna study right now. So I'm just gonna enjoy this free time that we finally have. So yeah, Connie and I went to get some food afterwards. It felt amazing, and then you have to wait a month. And everything was fine up until I would say the week before we were expected to get our scores back. And then my anxiety went out the roof because they didn't tell us when exactly what dates we were going to get the score yet. So I was like, oh my God, any one of these days, if I clicked that button just to see if the score came up, I was like super nervous. And then they sent us an email saying, oh, expect it on this day between like these hours. So like, okay,
hi guys, so don't ever refresh it the week of. Like they're gonna give it to you at the last minute. So yeah, there's no point.
Don't make yourself more anxious than necessary. But then that day was really scary because we didn't know when we were getting it. Apparently some students got their scores before others. Like it was kind of like just different for everyone. So nobody knew. So we were just constantly refreshing.
At the end, it doesn't mean that you failed. So don't be worried about that.
Yes. Yeah. There's no particular order from what it appears. But yeah, don't worry about that. Just wait.
I would say the week leading up to, I think one of the best things that you can do is if you have the booster book, you can just totally review that. And then when you're not reviewing that, I think the best thing for you to do is, what I did is I went through all the optics questions and redid them. Because in my mentality, even when I was studying for the OET, there are so many ways a math question can be presented to you. this is the same way when we were doing physics, the same way when we were doing chemistry, and the same way when we were doing OChem. There are so many numbers that you can plug in, but if you have the basic foundation of how you can approach a question, you'll be able to answer. And I think that was how I approached it. Because I was like, you know what? It's a few days before boards. There's nothing that's getting through my head anymore. There's nothing I learn now that can make me or break me. So I might as well just really solidify these optics knowledge. And then the day before, I did not study. I went out with my friends. We got food. We just relaxed. And then I came back home. I tried to sleep early, but it wasn't even like I was nervous. I just kept thinking of like equations and like thinking of like, wait, do I know this? Wait, do I know that? And when I was trying to sleep, that was going on. And so that was really annoying. But, like Nadine said, I completely agree. I think you should have a pretty, not like a heavy breakfast because then you're going to get sleepy, but, just a light breakfast. And I would say what I brought to lunch, I can't remember what I brought, but please don't bring like real food. Just bring something light, like a sandwich or like a granola bar. Because I think I brought real food. And then when I got to the second half of my exam, I felt really nauseous. And that was so bad. But I think I took about 7.5 hours on my exam. I went through everything once. And then I went to the restroom, and then walked around for like 10 minutes so I can, clear my head. And then when I went back in, I was able to go through the entire exam again. I know that sounds daunting, but when you're going through it, it doesn't feel as bad. So I redid all the optics question again. And then I went through and checked all my work. I did change some of the answers, but I feel like me personally, I want to double check my answers and I want to double check my math in case I, plug in a wrong number, and going through it again was worth it for me. There were some that I changed and I was like, dang it, I probably shouldn't have done that. But in the same time, how many did I change to the right answer and make myself feel better? So that was worth it for me. But the day right after the exam, I just kind of shut everything off and then I just went out to get food. And then that weekend we went to South Padre and we were just, having fun. And I just didn't think about it until the week of boards. And by then, I know Nadine said she was nervous, but I was just over it. I was just like, just give me my score. I'm kind of annoyed at this point that I have to wait so long to get my score. Um, but yeah, after that, it was just, the waiting game. And then we all found out that we passed. And then I have not touched anything school related ever since. What about you, Tyler? How was the week, the experience, test day, and everything?
So I too was, everyone tells you not to study the day or two before. They're like, oh, you're not going to get any more stuff in your head. But I pretty much studied up until like 2 days before. The day before the exam, I went. I have a friend who's a licensed massage therapist. I went and got a nice massage, tried to decompress, relax, enjoyed myself, and so that's what I did the day before. Also, the day before, I took a test drive. I drove out to the testing station to make sure I knew where it was. It was like 25, 30 minutes away from my house. I wanted to see how long it was going to take me to get there. I wanted to make sure I knew where it was and I wasn't going to get lost. And then, like you guys said, wake up early, eat your breakfast, get ready to go. Nothing too heavy, so you don't get tired, just like you said. And then, I got there early. I thought I was early, but one of my friends who was there too said I was like the last person to show up, even though I was there before the testing center opened. So I'm customarily late to things, so it makes sense. So we went up to the room. They give you a sheet of paper whenever you're going into the boards exam, and they say read all the rules to the Pearson Testing Center. And I'm like, I don't have brain space to read the rules. I don't want to know the rules. So everyone's reading this paper, and I'm just pretending to look at this paper. And then
Tyler,
they're like, okay.
I agree. I literally just looked at the paper. I didn't even read it.
And then they go, whenever you're done when you're done reading the paper and you want to agree to the terms, like come up to the desk. So everyone's reading this paper, and I just walk up to the desk and I signed in my stuff. I was like the first or second person to get into the testing room, just because I really couldn't bring myself to read the paper, which would have actually backfired on me, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes. So then, you get patted down, you go into the testing room, you take your test. Customarily at school, when I would take exams, I would be one of the last people out. I feel like I would take my time, go through the exam a bunch of times. I don't know how your school is, but my school we took paper exams up until COVID happened. Yeah, so we were taking paper exams. So I would sit in the room where we take our exam. And my friends would be waiting for me, and I would just be in there like all day. But then during boards, I didn't want to second guess myself. I didn't want to do something that I was going to regret. So I kind of just went through it. I went through so it's split into 2 halves. You get 4 hours, 45-minute break, 4 hours. So what I did was the first 4 hours, I took my exam. I went through it. I went through it super quick because I just wanted the quickest answer I could do. Then I went back through it a second time, a little bit slower, and then I went and ate my lunch. Then I came back. On lunch, I chugged another energy drink. I came back. I did the second half the same way, but then because I chugged the energy drink, I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the second half. And I didn't read the rules, so you're supposed to raise your hand and oh, can I go to the bathroom? I got up and I walked to the security desk to leave. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. What do you mean? What am I doing? And this guy's just looking at me like, you're not supposed to get up from your desk. And I didn't know that. So he let me go, but he said, go sit down at your desk, raise your hand. And then they came over and they let me out. And I was only out for 2 minutes. I was in and out. I don't know what they thought I was gonna do. But even when I went to the bathroom and came back, they checked my wrist, they checked my ankles, they checked my hood.
They don't check your pants and shirt.
I didn't have to take my pants down.
Okay.
And then they let me back in. I finished my exam. I finished going through it the first time. I went back through it a second time. So I went through my exam a total of 2 times each half. I went through twice. And I was home before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I was 4.5, 5 hours. It took me to take my test. So even going through it twice, you have more than enough time to go through all the questions. More than enough time to go through all the questions twice. I went through, like I said, and in 5 hours, in less than 5 hours, I went through everything twice. And then right after the exam, like Nadine said, I felt miserable. I was I didn't know it. I felt like I was gonna have to retake it. But at the same time, it was a relief that it was done. So I went home. I slept all night and then through the next day. I didn't even do anything the next day. I didn't even get up. I had a huge headache. I felt like crap. I was
yeah, those energy drinks.
yeah, I was probably crashing from the energy drink. I felt miserable. But then, a few weeks later, I started feeling better. You start to forget that you took the exam. You start to forget you're waiting for something because it's taking forever. And then the day the exam scores came out was my birthday. So I was waiting on my birthday for this exam score to come out.
And the exam score didn't come out till the afternoon.
All my friends are texting me that they got their exam score. I log in, no exam score. I'm freaking out. I'm why didn't I get mine? I'm did I fail because they got theirs and I didn't get mine?
That's why I put the disclaimer out earlier.
And then finally, the score came and I passed and everything was good. And I went and I enjoyed myself. I was on the beach. I was in Puerto Rico. It was a really nice time. I just got to have some parcha mojitos and enjoy it.
Nice, nice.
Isn't it crazy? Right after you take your exam, you're celebrating. At least I was celebrating the fact that I
took the
exam. But I was why am I celebrating? I literally celebrated that I took an exam. I didn't even celebrate that I passed. I was just celebrating paying for a test and then taking it. That's basically it. That's so
yeah, I think we were both kind of we'll probably retake it, but who cares? Let's go at a Cheesecake Factory or something
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
no one will ever feel ready. Whenever you walk in there, you're never gonna feel even when you leave, you're probably not gonna feel that was an easy exam. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely felt I failed it, and then halfway through the exam, I was thinking of when I should start to restudy. And then I was you know what? If I have to restudy, I have a bunch of flashcards already made. I'll just go through those again.
There you go. Yeah, another benefit to your method.
See, there's a benefit. Hopefully you don't fail, but I'm just saying if you did, it is not the end of the world. Okay. But yeah, definitely what Tyler said about going to the testing site and seeing what it's like. I'm not sure about your testing site, but ours was pretty confusing. You have to park in a separate garage, go down the stairs, find a different building, go inside that building, go up a certain elevator, one elevator because there's multiple elevators, and all that weird stuff. So try doing that the day before because we kind of just got lost and that was kind of confusing for us overall.
My fault too. Remember that day.
Nadine and I took it together, and I was in the car, and I was like, "Hey, Nadine, can you let me know where I'm supposed to turn? Because I know how to get there, but there's a specific way to get inside the garage." And I got there, and I was like, "Oh, what am I doing now? We're at Street A." And she was like, "Oh, wait, I think you're supposed to turn at Street A." As I'm U-turning and making some weird turns ready.
Yeah, the GPS said making U-turns as she was making a U-turn. I'm like, oh, wait, the direction says turn left at the light. Don't make it. She had to get back on the highway go around and go back. So, I mean, we definitely remember the next morning how to get there, but it was, yeah, I was not very proud of myself that night, but it
I'll do
was
it
funny.
on.
Okay, so I was thinking we can answer some Q&A, just a few that were on my story. How did y'all balance school, clinic, and studying for NBEO?
That's a tough one. You have to go to clinics. You have no choice. When you're in clinic, you probably are going to study between patients because the average eye exam at the school's eye institute probably takes 3 hours. So in between patients, probably just studying. Schoolwork. I mean, like I said, I didn't have that much schoolwork. I don't know about you guys. All your friends are there. Everyone's coming to talk to you. Everyone's wondering how you're doing or what you got through. Everyone wants to know like how you're like basically like comparing like where you are. Like, did I, you studied all this material, I studied this material. So it's kind of distracting. And then, yeah, like after clinic, you're usually tired. You try to study, but it's kind of hard.
Mhm. And I think that's one of the biggest advice. I know like we haven't gotten there yet, but one of my biggest advice was just not caring what other people were doing and not comparing yourself to someone else. Because one, I feel like, everyone's at their own pace. So yeah, someone could be ahead of you, but what if you're going slower and you're making sure you fully understand the material? And I feel like comparing because a lot of people were doing this, which I thought was crazy because, I just kept to myself. But, comparing your test scores and then comparing what you're doing, how you're studying, how much you got through this weekend. One, I feel like it gives you, if you're doing better, it gives you a false sense of security that you're just better than that one or those few people. And that's wrong. And two, if you're doing worse, that makes you feel insecure and it makes you feel like you're not enough. So, again, I feel like everyone's moving at their own pace. So, one of the worst things you can do for yourself, especially as the months get closer to boards and you're already kind of stressed out, is to not compare yourself and talk about it. Talk about anything else, like aside from what studying, you need to have, something to relieve your stress. Tyler, I know you're studying day to night, but you need to relieve your stress. For me, it was hanging out with my friends, watching movies with my roommates, just making TikToks, making YouTube, and just like doing other things to not think about boards all the time, because I feel like you're already studying for it and talking about it all the time and just living it 24/7 is not healthy, and that's just going to make you more stressed.
I ate and slept boards. I thought about boards day and night.
See, I don't think that's for me.
It's not healthy. Not healthy at all.
Yeah, like drinking Bang and then studying day and night, that's a little too intense for me. Ooh, how not to get burned out? Tyler cannot answer this question, but well, actually, no, you can, because you didn't start early, so I guess you didn't have time to be burned out because you were just studying the whole time.
Yeah. I guess I took my 7 months off in the beginning and studied hard for 3 months.
Yeah, and I guess for me, how to not get burnt out, I already answered it. But to have a hobby, have a life outside of studying for boards, hang out with your boyfriend, hang out with your family and friends, go out to get dinner and food. Like, don't shut everyone out.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you start studying a little earlier too, you don't have to worry about like pushing super hard. You can start at your own pace, kind of fit it in your schedule, but also like do other things. Like I would play video games at like sometimes midnight or even from like when I was done studying at 1 in the morning, I would like play an hour or so with my brothers online and I'd go to sleep and wake up the next morning and eat and like watch a nice show before starting. So I would entertain myself a little bit, but starting early is good too because you're not too stressed and you can do whatever you want. And then like the last 3 months before the boards, then yeah, you could probably study like Tyler and push
Well,
through.
I'm also someone who like has trouble following. Like if I give myself leisurely, like like I'm gonna do like an hour a day or 2 hours a day, I'll like be like, why? If I'm gonna do an hour today, I could just do 2 hours tomorrow. Let me just give myself a day off. So you guys are very disciplined. You have to be disciplined to do this spread out schedule.
Is it discipline though? Because for the first 5 months, I only studied for like 30 minutes a day. So I wouldn't say that's like disciplined because it took me, a good chunk of amount of time to like watch the videos, make flashcards, and just go through reviews. But I
Making the
feel like
flashcards probably took a lot.
the flashcards was the only reason why I passed. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, not only did it help me just get through the exam, but it helps with me with clinic right now because something about that space repetition, it's like I can see the card and I just like remember things. It's weird. but yeah, Nadine and I were watching like The Bachelorette, like the week leading up to it. So like watch some shows that are like very distracting and just like really dumb just to keep your mind off of it.
We were also watching The Witcher, but that
The
was
Witcher was
before.
so good.
Yeah, The
Oh my
Witcher.
gosh, why did we watch the entire thing of Witcher before?
I know. We ended up spending
We
like
did
a week basically.
so many dumb things we could have been studying. We were just like, one more episode, one more episode.
Honestly, and then we were at the last one. And we were like, let's just do it, and then we'll start studying better from now on.
My desk was in the living room, so my girlfriend would be watching like the Housewives or something behind me, and people be fighting, and I'm like distracted, like trying not to like watch this TV.
Okay, any last words of wisdom before we end this call?
Okay, I'll go first for this one. Even if you're 99.99999% sure that you failed, there's a good chance that you did not fail. So don't beat yourself up after you take the exam. Just relax. Just push through. Say that you've studied as much as you can. Like Tyler said, try to do everything so you don't regret not doing anything after taking the exam. Also, try to go through all the material because you're not always 100%, and nobody is. KMK Opti Prep, nobody is 100% sure of what will be on the exam and what will not be on the exam. So it's better that you go through everything instead of risking like, oh, this probably won't be on the exam, and then if it is, you kind of missed a good amount from studying and getting points on that section. So don't worry about how you did after you take it. There's a good chance you will pass as long as you prepare for it pretty well. Or if you're like Tyler, you still prepared well for it the last 3 months by studying really hard, and that's possible. So just get your own study technique down, have a plan, and then just push through. And don't think you're not going to pass because we all have that feeling before and after, but you just never know.
My advice would be to trust yourself. You've been in school for 3 years at this point. You've gone through the classes. You've done the work. You're putting in the work now just to remember, and give yourself a little break. Start early, and you're gonna do okay. Even if you don't pass the first time, you have more than enough opportunities to pass and learn from your mistakes. I have friends who are still retaking it, and they're going to be great doctors when they graduate. I see them now as clinicians, and they do a great job in clinic. It doesn't really make you a good or bad clinician to to retake boards. No one asks you for your board scores when you apply to jobs.
I completely agree with that. I think the mentality you should have coming in is that you're just gonna take another test. I get it, it's boards, it's big, whatever, but it's just another test. Think of it, you're just going in, answering the questions, and then you're leaving. If you pass, great, and if you don't, it's really not the end of the world. You can just, I know it's $1,000, but when we graduate, what is that really? So you just retake it and then go study a little bit more, and then you just do it. So don't have the fear of failing be what's making you so nervous and so anxious and you can't study. Because I know for me, if I get nervous or I'm anxious, I feel like I can't function very well. And so that's why I started early, because I know myself, I don't work well under pressure. And so getting to know yourself, like what Nadine said, getting to know how you study, how your methods are, and then making a plan and then executing. And so I hope you guys crush boards. If you've made it this far into the video, which I'm pretty sure no one did, what should they comment below? Comment.
Hey, I'm ready to pass boards. No, I'm kidding. Go on.
I was going to comment, I did not have coffee today, because none of us had coffee while we did the segment of coffee with Colin. Okay, and I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your words of wisdom, your advice, your experience, and everything. And I hope whoever's watching this and listening to this right now, I hope you do well and you took something from this episode. And yeah. All right.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.